We're continuing to follow breaking news. Former CEO of Strong City, Baltimore has been indicted on several charges. The latest from the Alert Desk next. The search continues for a suspect in the death of a Harford County mother of 5. Fox 45 speaks with a man who says he found her body as he describes the gruesome scene. And continued calls tonight for changes to the state's juvenile justice laws, the discipline measure one state delegate would like to see.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. We continue to follow breaking news out of Baltimore City as the former CEO of a nonprofit is indicted on 3 charges. Kai has more details for us tonight. Kai?
That's right, Mary. Reginald Davis, the former CEO of Strong City, Baltimore, pled not guilty to the charges against him during his arraignment in federal court this afternoon in Baltimore. Federal prosecutors say he misused more than $1 million from Paycheck Protection Program loans. They say he took the federal COVID relief money to cover a shortfall for Strong City, Baltimore. They say that money was supposed to go to other smaller nonprofits. Davis left his position at CEO of Strong City, Baltimore in December. Adam Andrzejewski with OpenTheBooks.com has been investigating the taxpayer dollars the city gives to nonprofits. He says the city has a problem with transparency and holding nonprofits accountable for the money they receive.
Real lack of transparency and accountability where city funds flow when it comes to the nonprofits. And so, look, about 30% of all the local quote-unquote charitable organizations are not in compliance with the state of Maryland charitable solicitation law, where they have to register on an annual basis with the Secretary of State's office. And if you're delinquent, you cannot raise money, yet the city consistently funds these organizations and the accountability checks are not in place.
The Fox 45 News has been questioning the taxpayer dollars going to nonprofits for some time. Last month, we learned that the city awarded a grant to a nonprofit run by Mayor Brandon Scott's girlfriend. When it comes to Strong City, the group has not responded to Fox 45's requests for comment. Stay with Fox 45 News. We'll take a closer look into the questions surrounding the money going to Baltimore City nonprofits coming up tonight at 10 o'clock on Fox 45 News. Mary?
Kai, thank you. Well, the search for a killer continues in Harford County 3 days after a 37-year-old woman was found dead along a popular hiking trail. So far, no suspects have been named in her murder, but now we are hearing about the moments leading up to the gruesome discovery.
My daughter called me in a panic, saying that there was a girl missing down at Mom Pa Trail, and I just kept seeing tunnels.
Well, Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor spoke with a man who says his daughter found Morin's body. She has the story.
Brutal and gruesome is how Michael Gabrzeski described what he and his stepdaughter had uncovered. Today, he took us to the Mom Pa Trail to show us exactly where Morin's body was found. It wasn't far from the William Street entrance here where 2 women are walking now. I'd estimate only about a quarter mile in. And before we share what Gabrzeski saw, we do want to warn viewers the details are graphic and what you're about to hear might be disturbing.
I had never walked it myself.
For Michael Gabrzeski,
I told my stepdaughter, I said, look, it's not going to be laying out in the open.
the Mon Pa Trail in Bel Air, uncharted territory.
I said, she's going to be tucked away somewhere.
But the former National Park search and rescue officer has extensive experience tracking down missing people.
So basically, it's my passion to bring closure to that family by bringing her back and not having them wonder what happened.
Following reports, 37-year-old Rachel Morin left for a walk and never returned, Gabrzeski and his stepdaughter taking off on a search rooted on instinct.
I just kept seeing tunnels in my mind. I don't know why, but I just kept seeing tunnels.
Despite law enforcement swarming the area for almost a full day, Gabrzeski's stepdaughter locating the body in about an hour. The deadly discovery.
Once we got down there and I started seeing them tunnels, I started getting goosebumps.
Made in a tunnel drain not far from the trail's main entrance.
I saw a terrible mess.
Gabrzeski's visions meeting the reality of a gruesome scene.
There's not going to be an open casket, I can guarantee you that.
He says Morin's body found in a pool of blood, suffering severe head trauma, an injury he believes could be the result of a rock.
My daughter said that there was a big rock down there that was all caked in blood.
I understand many of you want answers, and we do too.
The latest update from the Harford County Sheriff's Department declining to mention how Morin died and not yet naming a suspect. This as Morin's boyfriend quickly taking to social media, proclaiming his innocence. Richard Tobin writing, quote, "I love Rachel. I would never do anything to her. Let the family and I grieve."
I mean, it could have been his way of grieving, but it's not about you. It's about her. It's about bringing her home. And somebody's mother, somebody's daughter. She left behind 5 children.
Whoever the killer is, Gabrzeski convinced it's someone with close ties to the victim.
Because it's too personal. If somebody were just to do a thrill kill, it wouldn't be as brutal as what we witnessed.
Now, court records show Morin's boyfriend does have a history of domestic violence accusations. In today's update, the Harford County Sheriff's Office did say that the boyfriend has been interviewed. However, they also said this is very much an ongoing investigation, and at this point, they are not ready to name any suspects in this case. Reporting from the Ma and Pa Trail, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
The Harford County Sheriff's Office is asking anybody who was on or near the trail this weekend to send in pictures as they piece together this investigation. Officers say they have already received more than 90 tips. We'll continue to update you on this investigation both on air and online at foxbaltimore.com. Well, lawmakers and prosecutors statewide are raising concern about existing juvenile justice laws. They say the laws are leading to more crime among young people. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker spoke with one state delegate who shared some strong words on the changes he wants to see.
Delegate Nino Mangione says it's time to put pressure on Democrats to change the laws that are letting juveniles get away with crime.
Across Maryland, more young people are not only falling victim to crime and violence, but too often they're the perpetrators too.
This never used to happen, but now 10, 12, 13-year-olds are stealing cars.
That's Republican State Delegate Nino Mangione reacting to the news of more than a dozen young people arrested for a series of crimes involving stolen cars last week in Anne Arundel County. In more than one case, some of them just 11 and 12 years old, were too young to be charged.
We need to send a message that there needs to be discipline, especially for young juveniles.
The Juvenile Justice Reform Act limits children under 13 to charges for crimes of violence and says a juvenile under 10 cannot be charged.
I know part of the premise behind the bill was to get services for these, and I think services for these juveniles is an important step. But the most important step here is making sure our community is safe, our streets are safe, and getting especially violent juveniles off the streets.
It's a law Delegate Mangione says has done more harm than good, allowing juveniles to get away with serious crimes with little to no consequence.
I think we must defer to law enforcement and design effective strategies to prevent violent crime and work with prosecutors to impose tough penalties on those, especially the juveniles who commit violent acts. And we should start early and make certain that juveniles know that there is accountability.
Even prosecutors are raising concerns.
They know that, nothing's really going to happen to them if they keep their crime in a certain limit of types of crime.
10 states attorneys across Maryland, including Montgomery County State's Attorney John McCarthy, says it's making their jobs harder when it comes to holding young people accountable.
They come in, we can't detain them, they're back in the community the next day. They get picked up for the second one. Can't detain them. They're back in the community again the next day. They pick up a third. They're back in the community again the next day. That is frustrating to the community and frustrating to us because without the detention, we are, in many instances, we're really not getting the attention of the child.
As 2 Maryland legislative committees plan to look into accusations juvenile justice reform laws are contributing to the problem, Mangione says he doesn't expect much to come of it. Instead, he'd support a special session.
Right now, criminals, all ages in Maryland know that you can get away with a lot in this state, and it's because failed policies like this juvenile justice law that allow for this.
The Child Interrogation Protection Act is another law that prosecutors and legislators take issue with, some saying that it hinders the job of police. In Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Well, we've been asking you what you think. Should elected leaders prioritize laws that protect criminals or the public? 98% of voters say the public. And that brings us to today's question of the day. Would you support officials who demand lawmakers pass tougher crime legislation? So far, 94% say yes. You can head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in. Well, Mayor Brandon Scott today announcing the voluntary water restriction in Baltimore has been lifted. DPW says the city's water distribution system has been stabilized. City officials issued a voluntary water restriction almost a month ago after a fire at the Cromwell pumping station in Baltimore County. DPW officials are still reminding residents to follow water-saving habits to help maintain the local water supply. A religious freedom case against Montgomery County Public Schools going before a U.S. District Court judge today. A group of parents is suing for the right to opt their children out of reading what they call pride-themed storybooks in school. They claim certain books are inappropriate for children and inconsistent with their faith. Others are fighting for more inclusivity in public schools. Fox 45 News hearing from both sides.
We are imploring the Board of Education to respect our First Amendment rights to religious freedom. That's the real issue.
When we think about inclusion and religious rights and religious inclusion, we see the need for more books and not less of them.
In a statement to Fox 45 News, a spokesperson for Montgomery County Public Schools said they appreciate the proceedings and respect the process to reach a decision in this matter.
High prices for food and gas still stinging family budgets. I'm Atrell Nashar with a look at how much progress has actually been made on inflation ahead of a key report.
And yes, I know the kids may not want to think about it, but back to school is just around the corner. At Fox 45, we are your back to school headquarters. 19 days for some counties, 27 for others across the state, and just until the school buses roll. I'm going to let you know when showers and storms roll through here, though. That's my Weather Authority forecast.
President Biden making a stop in New Mexico today to mark the anniversary of the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act and the CHIPS and Science Act. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar joins us live from Washington with more on this. Atra.
Hey, good evening, Mary. The president touting a strong jobs market and consistent drops in inflation, but polls show how the public feels about the economy isn't improving much. On paper, inflation is a lot better than it was this time a year ago, a message President Biden has been spreading on the road all summer.
We have more to do, but inflation is now at its lowest point in 2 years.
Overall, consumer prices have been on a steady decline from their peak of 9.1% in June of last year down to 3% in June of this year. But relief is hard to square with a national average gas price of $3.82 and unpredictable food prices subject to the volatility of extreme weather and Russia's war in Ukraine. For some items, shrinkflation, less product for the same price, is the new normal and has prompted a social media trend of looking for products with reduced content.
Doritos bags used to be 9.75 ounces, now they're 9.25 ounces.
According to a recent CNN SSRS poll, 44% of adults say economic issues are most important to them, and 75% rate the economy as poor. 63% disapprove of how President Biden is handling the economy. The White House pushing back.
Polls don't tell the entire story. We're going to continue to tell our story, tell what we have done in the past 2 years.
The administration frequently pointing to growing wages, which recently started outpacing inflation, a boon for workers that some at the Federal Reserve say could perpetuate inflation and push them to raise interest rates even higher. Moody's Analytics chief economist Mark Zandi.
One way you do that is you try to slow things down so that the businesses don't raise their prices as aggressively.
Now, when the Labor Department releases July's consumer price index tomorrow morning, economists expect it will reflect a 3.3% increase in prices from the year prior, so still a ways off from the Federal Reserve's goal of 2%.
And Archer, today we also got some data about U.S. oil output under the Biden administration. What does it look like? Will it help bring us some relief at the pump down the road?
All indications are it should, in theory. Of course, oil is a global commodity. It's priced on a global market. But what we're learning today from new Energy Department data is that for 2023, the U.S. is expected to have oil output of 12.8 million barrels per day. That is a record for this country. It's even more than Saudi Arabia puts out, according to OPEC data. Now, politically, this is sort of a double-edged sword for the president. It's, of course, making it harder now for any of his political opponents, certainly those running for president, to try and claim he's got this war against fossil fuels, because under his administration, as we're seeing now, there's more oil being exported and manufactured than ever before. But at the same time, as we saw in New Mexico today, the president's really all in on a clean energy agenda. So we don't exactly expect him to be touting this, unless, of course, it's brought up by an opponent. But as for whether or not it'll impact people, again, oil's a global commodity, so it's not priced based on just what the U.S. produces, but it's not hurting things.
Correct. Supply can help. All right, Atra El-Nashar live in D.C. for us tonight. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, our Fox Triplecast this evening. A little bit of hazy sunshine over the Mile 1 Taos Cam and the Toyota East Union Harbor Sky Cam, where we're going to be seeing the O's take on the Astros again at 7:05, and the weather's looking pretty good for it. HD radar shows our latest weather maker that's kind of skirting off to our north. There's a couple little showers here that are in portions of eastern Pennsylvania, but we really want to recenter out to the west. That's our next weather maker, with a lot of rain, a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder, flooding, severe weather. Don't think we're going to see it quite as severe by the time it gets here, but there is going to be the potential tomorrow of more of a widespread rain, something we haven't seen in a while, and maybe an embedded thunderstorm or two. It's not going to be like what we saw a couple of days ago with the severe weather, but just kind of a lapping rain that goes through a lot of the day. 87 degrees, Mile 1 Taos Cam. Good look here. Winds out of the west at 8 miles an hour. Sunglasses out. Dew points, that's the measure of moisture in the air, still fairly low. So any of the showers that are up in Pennsylvania that did try to make the trip south, kind of falling apart, but there was one little shower that did impact portions of Carroll County. Otherwise dry as we head into this evening. Showers, thunderstorms, and actually even some heat heat and humidity to the south of that. We're going to get in on some of all of that the next couple of days. First, it's going to be some of the rain and maybe even some thunderstorms potentially for tomorrow, and that's going to keep temperatures lower than today, maybe only in the 70s to near 80 with that on and off rain. If you do get an embedded downpour, could see maybe a half inch, maybe an inch of rain in a couple of spots, but I think fairly light to moderate amounts out of this as we go with the clouds increasing tonight. Again, a little bit thicker humidity as we head toward tomorrow morning. When you wake up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, probably just clouds, but then rain moves in by 9:30 a.m., tracking to 11:30 a.m., rain, embedded thunderstorms. And that goes into the early to mid-afternoon as well. By about 5, 7 o'clock in the evening, the showers begin to taper, and it looks like things clear out. I'm going to let you know if it stays away into your weekend plans. My exclusive 10-day forecast in a couple of minutes.
Well, school bus driver safety. The calls from Prince George's County bus drivers for more safety measures following an attempted murder on a bus last year. School bus drivers in Prince George's County raising the alarm, calling for more safety measures on school buses. It comes months after police say a 15-year-old boy allegedly attempted to murder a classmate on a Prince George's County school bus. Brad Bell from our Sinclair sister station in D.C. has the story.
With metal detectors being phased into Prince George's County high schools, the people who drive kids to school without any such weapon screening are saying, what about their safety?
It will do nothing for bus drivers.
Martin Diggs heads the Prince George's County Bus Drivers Union. He says incidents like the attempted murder of a 14-year-old on a bus by 3 other teens in May, along with the seizure of guns like this one from a student at Largo High last Friday, have drivers worried.
It is the biggest concern with school starting back up.
With more than 1,000 buses running more than 5,000 bus routes, ensuring safety for everyone is a daily challenge, says Rudy Saunders, who retired last year as head of transportation services for Prince George's County Schools.
Trying to see everything and prevent everything that's possible is something that every driver's challenged with, and it's really an impossible task to do.
Diggs wants more buses to have aides on board to keep an eye on students. He wants drivers to have a panic button to call for help and more emergency training. 7 News taking those demands to school leadership, asking what will be done. Today, the system is responding with a statement saying a committee is working on solutions and they're working with law enforcement to provide that training. Rudy Saunders no longer speaks for the school system, but based on years of experience, he says there's no single answer to the problem.
I don't think there's a magic trick to making that happen so that people are safe and so that you have a plan for when things do happen.
All right, your exclusive 10-day forecast, 80 degrees, showers and thunderstorms coming for Thursday. I think it's kind of an on and off rain much of the day. Going to keep those temperatures a lot cooler. 89, less humid but hotter on Friday. Hot and more humid on Saturday. 93, hot and humid. Sunday, 91. There could be a few showers and maybe a rumble Saturday night. I think it's mainly while you're sleeping. Some mainly afternoon storms arrive for Monday of next week. Maybe a leftover shower, less humid on Tuesday. Actually, it looks good by the middle of next week, 86. Then hotter by the end of next week once again.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, finally tonight, a fan festival for a Baltimore icon is back. For fans of Mr., Professor, Captain, and Gwenda the Good Wheel of the West, Trash Wheel Fan Fest is coming back to the Peabody Heights Brewery. The fest will have everything from some special Trash Wheel-themed craft beers to activities like a DIY googly eye station. That's going to be fun. The event is next month, September 23rd, and early bird tickets for the fest and August 16th. Well, that's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud is up next. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Thanks so much for watching and have a good night.